the economy shrinking by another 6.3% during the July to September quarter, and this basically follows last quarter's figure of a 6% fall. And this confirms that the city-state is indeed in a technical recession, which is generally defined as 2 consecutive quarters of quarter-on-quarter contraction.
Washington for 44 years.
But business is falling off. People are more cautious with their money.
He thinks it would be a good idea for the government to back up the banks because people are worried about their money.
You put your money in the bank, feel that it's safe. I'm not going to lose my money. This is not 1930 or 31 or 32. This is the United States of America.
This is the Republican fight back. It moves slowly, but it's powered by millions of Americans for whom Barack Obama holds no appeal.
Ladies, your hair is getting wet. Buy a hat.
In rural Ohio, they queued around the block, waiting in the rain, the chance to see their hero.
Sarah Palin! That's the ticket!
Why?
Because she's beautiful, she's young, she's a working mother, she can do it all.
Al-Qaeda is dangerous, they're trying to kill us, and John McCain is the only guy that's even close to having the experience that's required to deal with them.
First real estate investment trust to fail. And one of Japan's largest insurers, Yamato Life Insurance, has also filed for bankruptcy protection with debts of about 3 billion euros.
Joy, the Milad Tower, just opened in the Iranian capital, a symbol of Iran's rising power, just as the rest of the world lurches into recession. That's the view of Iran's leaders as they watch the financial wreckage in Western and Asian capitals. In fact, some senior figures in Iran have positively welcomed the global financial crisis. Ayatollah Janati, one of the most influential clerics in the country, told worshippers, "We're very happy that America's economy is in jeopardy and they're paying the price for their bad deeds. God is punishing them."
Singapore and Hong Kong. Well, the panic selling across Asia follows massive losses on Wall Street. A sudden plunge in the last hour of trading there left the Dow Jones Index below 9,000 for the first time in 5 years. And in another development, Japan's Yamato Life Insurance, a medium-sized company, said it had gone bankrupt.
The UK and Iceland were involved in scraps over fishing rights around the waters here of Iceland. I mean, these Treasury officials will be here from the UK in Reykjavik today to try and smooth the diplomatic waters and, crucially, to try and work out how to get their hands on billions of pounds that have been deposited by UK investors in Icelandic banks, but that are now frozen because of the Icelandic government's decision to take over the 3 biggest banks here.
Tumbling down, Asian markets came tumbling after. It's been another dismal day on those Asian markets. Tokyo's Nikkei index closing with losses of nearly 10% this time.
Of a few days, it is ghastly. Was the description used by one trader. Beyond panic is what another person said. Total market capitulation. That's the description of another trader. Investors are now, it seems, turning to gold, the only safe haven.
And show you how they're doing at the moment. The FTSE just lost 100 points in the last minute. When we last looked at that, it was down about 30 points. And Germany down, look at that, way over 400-point loss. That's a near 10%, over 10% loss for Germany. These markets have been open just over 5 minutes. I haven't got the figures for France at the moment. I will certainly have those for you. Oh, look at that, the FTSE down over 300 points now, below 4,000. That's
they
for the first time
happen,
since 2004. So
keep an eye on the markets and the latest developments in the financial sector. But we're getting reports that at least 15 people have been killed in a suicide blast at an anti-Taliban tribal meeting in Pakistan's tribal areas. It's thought another 30 people were wounded in the northwest Orakzai region. Tribal elders are meeting to come up with strategies to evict the Taliban from one of the more peaceful of Pakistan's largely autonomous tribal areas. The BBC has obtained details of radical new plans that are being considered by the British government to counter growing Taliban propaganda in Afghanistan. The programme involves new media such as mobile telephones and the internet to encourage Afghans to counter Taliban ideas and claims.
According to the citation, for his important efforts over 3 decades and in several continents to resolve conflicts.
These efforts have contributed to a more peaceful world
and to fraternity between nations in Alfred Nobel's spirit.
And of all the mediation efforts in which he's become involved on behalf of the UN and others, the most celebrated achievement, leading negotiations that finally brought peace to the Indonesian province of Aceh after 30 years and an estimated 15,000 deaths. Marty Artasari himself regards his steering of Namibia to independence from South African rule through the violent final stages of the process as his key achievement.
To the New York Stock Exchange, you can see they're getting ready for the opening bell. Today it's the day of the diplomatic corps visiting the stock exchange. Interesting, maybe does emphasize this political and diplomatic solutions needed for this global economic and financial crisis. In a moment, we'll see them hitting that. There it is. So the markets are now open on Wall Street, and there's some nervousness. There's an indication that they'll also be opening down. Certainly what we've been seeing across Europe and Asia.
They could talk about guaranteeing all bank deposits held across the world, as Jamie was saying. That's quite controversial. It seems they're going to consider this British idea, the idea perhaps of taking shares in banks, so you can essentially force them to lend to one another. Because that's been the huge problem here, is despite that interest rate cuts, interest rates between banks have remained high.
During that key market in the Japanese capital.
Asia's markets have been in a tailspin of panic selling. It was another calamitous day on the Nikkei. Japanese share prices have now lost almost a quarter of their value in the space of 1 week. Talking about total market capitulation. It is ghastly, said one trader. Another described the mood of investors as beyond panic. Japanese politicians are calling for calm, with the Prime Minister saying that the market falls are now affecting the real economy and the ability of companies to raise funds.
I think the linkage between the real economy and the financial crisis is becoming clearer by the day. Already I think we are looking into the abyss, if you like, of a global recession, if not depression. And I think there are indeed clear signs in Japan that this is actually happening.
As we move on, a glimpse of the other force defending the president, the army of neighbouring Ethiopia, Somalia's traditional enemy. Mogadishu is dying. Some parts are already dead. The Ugandans can supply a limited range of drugs. They have the medical expertise, they have the will. But for really serious cases, their small clinic simply can't cope. This woman was hit by grenade fragments just a few hours ago.
I don't have any enemies in Mogadishu. I wasn't a target. They just fire everywhere. They don't think who they will hit or who will die.
The death toll in Somalia is mounting. But with their extremely limited resources, there's little the Ugandans can do to stop the killing. The African Union camp is in the heart of the capital Mogadishu, but this is where their control stops.